contest in generosity. It is related that there were once in Baghdad a girl and boy who were cousins and had greatly loved each other from infancy. Their fathers and mothers had destined them for each other and would often say, "When Habib is big, he shall marry Habibah." The two had grown up together and their love had grown with them. But when they come to marriageable age, they were not destined to with each other. For the girl's parents had suffered the reserves of time and were now so poor that they were obliged to accept the suit of a certain respectable sheikh, one of the richest merchants in Baghdad, when he asked for their daughter's hand. After the marriage had been arranged, young Habibah sought out her cousin Habib for the last time, and said to him through her tears, "Oh, my beloved, you have heard that my father and mother have given me to a sheikh whom I have never seen, and our love is frustrated forever. Would not that be preferable? Our destiny is bitter. There is no meaning in our life henceforward," answered Habib, sobbing. "How shall we ever again suffer the taste of life of delight in the beauties of the world? Alas, alas, sweet cousin, how shall we bear the weight of destiny?" They wept together and were well nigh swooning from unhappiness, when one appeared to spirit them and tell the girl the time had come for her to be taken to her husband's house. The desolate Habibah was carried in procession to the sheikh house, and there, after the usual blessing and wishings, left alone with him. The moment of consummation came. The old man entered the bridal chamber and found his wife weeping among the cushions, her bosom shaken with sobs. Surely she weeps after the manner of young girls, because she has left her mother, thought the sheikh. Happily that doesn't last long. The city first spot will yield to oil, and a kind word will tame a lion's cup. So he went up to her, saying, "O Habibah, O light of my soul, why do you destroy the beauty of your eyes? What gifts did which make you forget that I'm near you?" The girl redoubled her tear and sick when she heard his voice, and thrust her head farther among the cushions. "Dear Habibah," said the old man gently, "if you are weeping for your mother, say so, and I will fetch her to you instantly." The girl shook her head among the cushions, and the tall bridegroom whined, "If you are weeping for your father, or one of your sister, or your nurse, or some pet animal, such as a cook, a cat, or gazelle, tell me, and you shall be no longer spirited from your desire." A shake of the head was the bride's only answer. The sheikh pondered for a moment, and then said again, "Is it the house itself for which you wept, Habibah, the house where you were young? If that is so, I will take you back there at once." A little won over by her husband's kindness, Habibah lifted her tear-wet eyes and her cheeks with their favorite roses. In a small and trembling voice, she answered, "My lord, I don't weep for my mother, my father, my sister, my nurse, or my pets. And I beg you not to insist that I shall tell you the reason of my tears." The excellent sheikh, seeing her face for the first time, was softened indeed by her beauty, her childish charm, and the music of her voice. "Oh, fairest girl on the earth, dearest Habibah, since the cause of your weeping is none of the things said he. "I beg you all the more to tell me of it." "I cannot tell you of it," she answered. And he went on, "Then I know what it is. You weep because I am repugnant to you. If you had only told me through your mother that you didn't wish to marry me, I should never have forced from you. How could one whom I never seen be repugnant to me? It is something else for which I can find no words." But the man all pressed her so kindly that at least she confessed with lowered eyes, "My grief and tears are for a dear of my house, a cousin with whom I grew up, a cousin who loves me and whom I love. Oh, my master, love's roots are in the heart, and if love is plucked forth, the heart is plucked forth also." The Sheikh lowered his head without speaking and reflected for an hour. Then he raised his head, saying, "Dear mistress, the law of Allah and His Prophet forbids one believer to snatch even a mouthful of bread from another believer by force. How then could I, a believer, snatch away your heart? Calm your tear and refresh your eyes, for nothing shall happen to you that is not written in your destiny. Rise up now, O my breath of a minute, and go, with my full and free consent, to him whose right in you is more than mine. Give yourself to him freely, and return here in the morning before the servants are awake. From henceforth you are my daughter, of my own flesh and blood, and a father doesn't touch his daughter carnally. When I'm dead, you shall be my heir. Rise up now, my guilt, and hasten to console your cousin, for he must be weeping as the dead weep." He raised her, dressed her himself in the fair robes and jewels of her marriage, and accompanied her to the door. As she walked into the street and started upon her way, she glowed like an extravagantly ornamented idol, such as the unbelievers carry on their feasting. At this point, Shahrazad saw the approach of morning and discreetly fell silent. But when the 892nd night had come, she said, she had hardly gone 20 paces down the deserted street when a black form fell upon her from the shadows, and a night-haunting thief, who had been attracted by the sparkle of her garments, began to snatch them from her, growling, "If you open your mouth, I will smash you to the earth." His hand was already fumbling with the collars about her neck when his eyes fell upon her face. "As Allah lives," he cried, "she is the richest jewel of them all. I must take her whole. Dear mistress, I will do you no harm if you are complacent, and I can promise you a blessed night if you will come with me. She must be the wedding guest of some great lord to wear such thing at night." When the girl wept, the robber cried, "Why do you weep, my dear? I swear that I will neither hurt you nor rob you if you give yourself to me freely." At the same time, he took her by the hand and would have led her off. But she found the courage to tell him who she was, how generous the Sheikh had been, and the full details of her marriage. "Now, when all was going well, I have fallen into your hands. Do with me as you will," she said. The robber, who was by far the most skillful craftsman in all the corporation of the city's thieves, have sense enough to appreciate the husband's generosity. He reflected for a moment, and then said, "Where does he live, the cousin whom you love?" "In a room on the garden, in such a house, in such a street," she answered. Then said the robber, "Dear mistress, no one shall ever accuse a man of my profession of interfering with true love. May Allah grant the choices of His blessing to the two of you this night. I will now lead you to your cousin's house, as you might fall in love with some vile thief if you were to go alone. The wine is for all, the flute for one, and that one is not I." So saying, he took the girl by the hand and escorted her, as if she had been a queen, right up to the house of her beloved. Then he took leave of her, kissing the hem of her garment, and went his way. The girl walked across the garden and, listening at the window of her cousin's chamber, heard him sobbing alone. She knocked at the door, and a voice filled with tears asked who was there. "Habibah," she answered. "Oh voice, oh Habibah," said her cousin. "But Habibah is dead. Who are you that speak to me in her voice?" "I'm Habibah," she answered. The door opened and Habib fell snowing into his cousin's arms. She brought him to consciousness and, holding his head upon her lap, told him of the conduct of her husband and of the thief. At first Habib could say no word. Then he rose and murmured gently, "Come with me, sweet love." He took her by the hand, touching no more of her, and led her through his street to the home of her husband. When the Sheikh saw his wife return with young Habib and understood the reason which had brought them, he led them into his chamber and kissed them as a father kisses his own children. When a believer has proclaimed his wife to be a daughter of his flesh and blood, no power can give the lie to his words. He said in a grave voice, "You owe me nothing, my children, for I am in bondage to my oath." So saying, he made over his house and goods to the two of them, and went to live in another city. Shahrazad left King Shahryar to answer the propounded question himself, without requiring command from him. That night he also said,